Hello, good afternoon, Tracy. So we are back again for Straight Talk with candidate for Delta College Trustee. Today we have a wonderful guest, Dr. Teresa Brown, and my partner and co-host on this show, Dr. Sabharwal. So I'll request Dr. Sabharwal to please share something about her.
Okay, well, I have been a teacher at Tracy for the past 15 plus years and have taught students at different grade levels. Apart from being a teacher, I've also taught at University of Phoenix and lately have been a proud mentor of new teachers at our district. In short, I have dealt with all age group people either as a teacher, a professor, a mentor, or as a parent myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sabharwal. Much appreciate you sparing your time and having this discussion today with Dr. Brown. So we know Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown is the current
My
trustee.
pleasure.
Yeah, and Dr. Brown is running for November 3rd. She has wonderful thoughts, ideas where she wants to lead this schools and this schools are, so Dr. Teresa is running for District 6, which comprises of Tracy as well as Mountain House. So all our students, they will get benefited from whatever the direction of the Delta College would be. So now I request Dr. Brown to please give us more introduction about herself.
Thank you very much, and thanks to the Sticks of Tracy for doing this as a public service to provide people in the community with access to information about all the candidates. It is indeed a great public service. It's education of its own kind.
I
Uh,
cannot hear
I,
anybody.
No, we can hear her. Yep,
okay,
we can hear you, Dr. Teresa.
okay. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and grew up in a coal mining town outside the city. I'm the first in my family to attend college, and I went away to school to West Virginia University, where I got an undergraduate degree in journalism. And I spent the next 18 years working in different aspects of the media. I've worked for newspapers, I've done public relations, I have worked in advertising, in radio and television. And then I had the opportunity to get a master's degree in education, and I followed that up with a master's degree in theology. And in 1992, my daughter and I came to California so I could get my PhD in biblical studies at the Graduate Theological Union and UC Berkeley. And since then, I have worked as the director of online education for the Episcopal Seminary in Berkeley, where I also taught Old Testament classes and biblical language classes. I have then I went to work as a program developer for CSU Stanislaus in developing degree completion programs for people that had an associate degree but had not been able to finish a four-year degree. I've also taught part-time for the Diocese of Stockton for the past 17 years, mostly in the Scripture Institute program. I have lived in Tracy for 18 years, and I moved here from the East Bay because I have an adult daughter with multiple disabilities, and the services for her here in San Joaquin County were superior to what we could receive in the East Bay. And it has been a pleasure to live in Tracy for the past 18 years.
So thank you very much, Dr. Brown. So you have a wonderful career that is with the education, and you are doing a great service for the students that are coming in these directions. So I would now hand it over to Dr. Sabharwal for the question.
Okay, well, we often look for ahead and fail to look back. What are some of the challenges you faced as a trustee, as a parent, or a teenager, even, that has prepared you to understand your responsibility as a trustee?
Well, I've been a trustee since 2008. And I was first elected, then re-elected in 2012 and 2016. So when I was elected in 2008, Delta College looked very different than it does today. It was facing a grand jury report. Excuse me. It was having problems with the Accreditation Commission in getting its accreditation recertified without sanctions. There was an audit by the state Comptroller's Office about the use of the Measure L bond money, and public confidence in Delta College and its board was at an all-time low, I think, because of all of this. And so, as a new trustee, not only did I have these things to face, but if you recall what happened in the late part of 2008, the bottom kind of dropped out of the economy. Unemployment went high. We entered the greatest recession since the Depression. And the college was immediately faced in 2009 with budget cuts, not just once, but 3 times. When we first got our allocation, then in August after we had passed a tentative budget, we got another cut, and then in January we got a 3rd cut. And so we weathered all of that by keeping people employed, by keeping the students learning and graduating. And so I have the experience not just as a trustee, but as a trustee that has helped as part of a board that guided the college through difficult times, both economic and academic and public opinion. And so I think that has served me well to continue on as a trustee, because experience counts, and it especially counts during a time like this pandemic, when we are dealing with a disease that we don't know, and we don't know when we're going to be able to go back to business as usual, if we ever go back to business as usual, and then facing the budget cuts that are coming because the state is lacking in funds from sales tax, income tax, and property tax. And so this is something that I've done before as a member of a board, and I feel that experience is what's needed here to make sure that Delta continues on the right path.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brown. Yeah, so on the day-to-day basis, 24,000 students, they attend the Delta College, so it's touching lots of lives. And in 2019, the college was created as the #1 community college in California and #4 community college throughout the United States from the financial website called Wallet Hub. So yeah, financially it is strong, but this COVID, this is taking it toll. So from the issues perspective, Dr. Teresa, what do you think? So what kinds of issues currently the Delta College is facing, and what would be your approach to tackle those issues?
Well, the issues that we're facing, the important issues that we're dealing with right now, are getting through the COVID pandemic. And I'll just briefly state the issues, then go back about how we can work with them. The second issue is maintaining our fiscal stability with budget cuts in this time of the economic downturn, and also maintaining the not just for our students, but for our employees who depend on us and their families depend on us. And thirdly, I think that what's important is increasing the student achievement rates that we have by increasing our diversity, equity, and inclusion among both our students and the staff. When it comes to the pandemic, I think that the board has supported the administration in making some very wise choices in a hurry. In mid-March, we were able to put 2,023 courses online with about a week's notice. This meant that 350 faculty had to be trained. Some of them had never taught online. Some of them had never thought about teaching online. But here they were teaching online, and our over 20,000 students, some of whom, again, had never thought about doing this, and they didn't have the knowledge or the equipment to carry this through. What the administration did was to provide support through our Professional Development Center and our Dean of Distance and Regional Education to provide training to the faculty. I mean, this is a staff of 3 people, and they were working practically 24/7 in the beginning, and even now, to answer questions and get people comfortable using Zoom or other parts of online learning so that they could serve the students. Because many of our students are low income, about 2/3 of our students receive financial aid, including those who go without paying student fees, which is what we call tuition. Uh, we knew that there were students that were using the computers on campus uh, to do their schoolwork, and some only had cell phones to do the work without these kinds of computers, and that just wasn't sufficient. So using CARE money, the college went ahead and ordered over 1,000 Chromebooks and laptops for the students, and these were loaned out to them free of charge through the bookstore. And we've placed another order for several hundred more laptops as this goes into the fall semester, so that students can have access to this without any charge to them. And where necessary, we've also provided them with software for specialized courses that the Chromebooks weren't adequate to deal with. Uh, we also then moved all of our student services online. And this includes things like library, admissions and records, our orientation and counseling service, financial aid. And to help with this, we hired 100 people extra to serve a live chat that goes on at the college from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, to help students out, in addition to the staff that's doing this work. We provided a virtual graduation on June the 6th for our students. We put all of our classes online during the summer, and the vast majority of our classes are online this fall. We have some classes that have labs that in our career technical education, and a couple of our science classes that they have to be in person, and Labster isn't good enough to solve their needs. So following the guidelines by the county health department, we are making it possible for people to come and do this. A week before school started, we had the fire issue. And even though we weren't really damaged here in Tracy and Stockton, the air quality was so bad that the college decided to close the campus for 10 days to protect the safety of our workers and students. And there were people who needed to pick up their books at the bookstore, that they had placed the order online and were coming to pick them up. And because they weren't able to do that, the administration decided, with the board support, to send out the books in the mail with no mailing cost to the students. Monday of last week, they mailed out 600 packages of books, and they only stopped there because they ran out of boxes. So they got more boxes, and the report to the board this past Tuesday said that over a week's time, the 4 employees at the bookstore were able to mail out 6,000 orders of books to the students at no mailing cost to them, so that they would have their books for the class. We also, to help our anatomy, ordered 400 skeletons that are on loan to them through the bookstore, free of charge, so that they have the replicas of the bones that they can see and feel as they would in an anatomy lab. And not to forget anybody, we have students in our fashion program who needed sewing machines to take a sewing class. And we went out and purchased sewing machines and distributed them to the students as well. So these are some of the things we're doing. We also, because we passed out laptops and not everybody has access to high-speed internet, we also purchased hotspots that were given to students who didn't have internet access. And because many households have multiple users of the internet, with people working and children in the K-12 system, we put Wi-Fi in the campus parking lot, so students could drive to campus and use the Wi-Fi in the parking lot from their cars.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Teresa,
That was
for
a great
sharing,
answer. Thanks.
for sharing the key points. So now, yeah, just hand it over to Dr. Sabharwal, so please.
Well, the first question I asked you was about the past experiences. My next question has to do with the future. With Tracy growing every single day, we have people coming from diverse backgrounds. And I know in your answer you mentioned equity and diversity. How are you ensuring, as a trustee of Delta College, that there are going to be equity and diversity included?
It's a long process,
Okay.
and it's not something you can solve with policy. I mean, our governing board is primarily a policy board, not an operations board. We don't get into the into the how. We are the what when it comes to this, and we certainly support equity, diversity, and inclusion. And a recent report from the state chancellor's office to community colleges said that the best way to ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion among our students and their success is to have a faculty and staff, but primarily a faculty that reflects the ethnic diversity of the community. And because of the state law that gives the faculty the say in hiring, and the board does not get involved in the hiring of faculty members, we support the faculty, all their endeavors to increase the diversity among themselves. This is by advertising widely to publications for that are subscribed to by people who are African American, Hispanic, female, Asian, LGBTQ, disabled, veterans, and other subgroups to try to increase the diversity, both racial, ethnic, and background for our faculty, so that when a student sees a professor that looks like them, that lives like them, that talks like them, they're more inclined to be successful because they can see that their goal is more than a dream that they can achieve. And so we are working with a committee of faculty and staff on the campus to increase this diversity, because we are a very diverse student body. We are a Hispanic serving institution, and to get that designation, you must be at least 25% students who identify as Hispanic. Well, we have between 46 and 49% of our students who identify as Hispanic. And being a Hispanic serving institution, we get extra funding to help us serve these students. We are trying to do the same for our African American students, particularly African American males who are lagging. And sometimes the thing is that we don't start soon enough. People talk about, well, when we need to go out to the high schools and we need to recruit at the high schools. Well, we've talked in the past, and I certainly firmly support the fact that we need to go out to the students and the parents when they're in the 4th grade. And we need to start talking to students at that level, 8 and 9 years old, and saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And when they tell you that they want to be an engineer or a lawyer or a welder or, whatever, then you tell them, well, here's what you need to study so that when you finish high school, you can go on to college and you can do the things you want to do. And we need to tell the parents that there's 2/3 to 3/4 of a chance that your student will come to Delta free of charge, because both the Promise Scholarship that's open to first-time, full-time students of all income levels, and additionally the grant that goes to students who are low income. So we cover a wide variety of that, and this is the way we're going to get to more students, is by starting younger, much younger than high school.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Appreciate Dr. Brown. This college has a wonderful legacy. It started in 1935, and for inclusion-wise, from all the diverse backgrounds, students study in this Delta College. They are affiliated to Delta College. So one thing is, so Dr. Brown, because District 6, this will be capturing Mountain House as well as Tracy. So one is the distance, and as you have already mentioned, that 2/3 of the students, they come from the background where they need financial assistance to go to college. So from the distance perspective, sometimes it's hard for the students to every day in their lives to reach the college and continue their education. So the dropout rate is way too high, and the presentation or from the Tracy and Mountain House students are very less as compared to the other areas. So in that direction, what do you think? So should the Delta College be moving in direction to support the Mountain House satellite campus, or planning to open some other satellite campuses around so that students can get value from the institute?
Well, I think that one of the things the pandemic has taught us is that going back to the way things used to be is never going to happen if we're smart. We're going to, you should never let a crisis go without turning it around and making it an opportunity. And so I think that we will learn a lot that bricks and mortar are not the only answer. And as part of that, Delta College has 10 degrees that you can obtain totally online right now, 10 associate degrees that are obtainable. So that's not a barrier to somebody, no matter where you live. So that's one thing we can do. Another thing that is a barrier is the financial aid available to community college students in California. Of all the educational systems in California, community colleges are paid the least of any. For example, in the K through 12 system, the amount of funding available for students per student is just over $12,000. The amount of funding available to community colleges is $8,500. So K through 12 districts are paid more to teach a third grader than we're paid to teach the first 2 years of college. And that doesn't make any sense to me. Our funding formula is very complex. It's very hard to understand. And this is why experience counts, because if you don't understand the funding formula and you don't see how colleges are paid, it's very difficult to make a plan for the future. The other thing where we're lacking, and is the amount of financial aid available to our students. The community college students get an average grant of $5,800. That's the maximum grant they can get. Whether that's a Promise grant with a Cal grant, a Pell grant, whatever, adding it all up, that's what it comes to. At the CSU, again, teaching the first same 2 years of college, their students are eligible for $10,600. And at the UC, the eligibility is $27,500. So we are underfunded. And there's two ways to solve this. And we've been working through the Community College League of California to lobby with the legislature to give us equity for community colleges. There is this misunderstanding that community college students are all recent high school graduates who live at home with their parents who pay for the roof over their head, their books, their fees, their food, and their car and everything else, where the average age of our student is 27. Many of them, even younger than that, are helping to support their families, whether it's their parents, their siblings, their children. And so we need to get some parity, some equity in the amount of funding that our students are eligible for. And so lobbying at the state level is one thing. The other thing is that we know there's money left on the table, that we have students. Our financial aid director gave us a report a couple of meetings ago that not all the students don't apply for, not all the students apply for aid, and those that do apply for aid don't apply for all that they're eligible for. And so the commitment on the financial aid department is to work at getting students to apply for more aid and receive more aid that they're entitled to. So this is a two-pronged, process. And I know maybe it sounds foolish to some people. Yes, we're in a budget cut, financial downturn, but that doesn't mean we stop lobbying the legislature and saying it's time to treat community college students with equity and fairness. The community colleges, 115 of us in the state of California, are educating 2.1 million students. That is more than the UC and the CSU put together at all their campuses. So our students deserve equity and fairness.
No, that is correct, Dr. Brown. So those students use this institute as the career building. So they have 100 plus career and degree certification courses. So that makes them ready for their job opportunities. And they're coming from all walks of life, very diverse background. So thank you very much. Yeah, that is the approach. So you have to be finding the ways to motivate the students, to support them financially, also to go through to complete their educational journey. So now I'll hand it over to Dr. Sabwa.
Well, I'm really impressed, actually blown away by your experience. But I also think about when past meets future. This is what the future leaders have to say. We bring fresh breath of air. So how do you compete with that? How are you updating your knowledge these days to keep in pace with the future generation,
Well,
the
this is,
Z?
I'm a lifelong learner. I have a bachelor's degree, 2 masters, and a PhD, and I continue to learn, to study, as well as to teach. And so, as being part of being a trustee is is understanding the role of the trustee, the responsibilities of the trustee, and all the new programs that come down to us from the chancellor's office, from the state legislature. And so, trustee education is not only a continuous process, but one that I support in many different ways. I attend all the meetings, uh, whether, in the past, we had the effective trustee workshop in January for new and continuing trustees, with a legislative conference that keeps us apprised of the changes in the budget and bills before the Assembly and Senate that affect community colleges. There's also a trustee conference in May that deals specifically with the role of the trustees, and the annual convention in November. And this year, our annual convention will be totally on Zoom. So I've attended all of these and attended all the sessions, taking notes and everything. For the past 10 years, I have been a member of the Advisory Committee on Education Services for the Community College League of California. And this is a committee of both CEOs and trustees, but primarily trustees, that work to provide educational resources to community college trustees. And this is how we keep things alive. When I was first elected as a trustee, I didn't know a lot, and so I went to my first effective trustee workshop, and I learned about the roles and responsibilities of trustees. And ever since then, I mean, we've had the Student Success Act of 2012, where the legislature defines student success. And success is access, progress, and completion. It's not just feeling good about what you did today. It's about how you're on the path. And so Delta College is one of the 20 demonstration colleges for guided pathways. Uh, we also were early on adopters of AB 705, which is the law that says that it does away with testing uh, to place people in classes. And so it did away with almost all the remedial classes. And now we put students into English 1A and a transferable math class based on their high school uh, grades in those subjects, not on some test that's arbitrary, and had absolutely no evidence that it was working. And so we have had great success with English 1A uh, in doing it. And so students are moving through faster. They're not getting stuck in those remedial classes. Our psychology faculty stepped up and started offering a statistics course that is aimed at people who are going on in fields of the social sciences like psychology, sociology, anthropology, where they don't need a heavy math background, but they need to understand how numbers work and how to interpret numbers. And they've had a huge amount of success with this, where math faculty, it may have there may have been the perception that math faculty were gatekeepers in keeping people from progressing, where this has been a great boost to students not just to their ability to move on to other courses, but to their ego, to their self-esteem. I passed a math class, and that for some people is incredibly important to what they do next. And we also have a new course approved through the CSU for articulation of personal finance counting as a transferable math. And there is nothing more important to every student than to understand personal finance, so that when they go to buy a home, when they go to take out a loan, when they go to buy a car, that they know how to invest their money, how to choose wisely, and make those good decisions. So, all of these things are ways that we can, work with the students on this.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Brown. So it was an honor discussing with you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your vision, discussing the issues and what solutions you have and how you want to see the Delta College in the future. And I thank Dr. Sabharwal also for being with us. And see you again. Thank you very much.
कौन बनेगा व्हाइट हाउस का हकदार? लोकां दी सुरक्षा दा कौन होएगा पहरेदार? दुनिया दी सब तो मजबूत कुर्सी ते किस दा चलेगा राज? 3 नवंबर ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਾਂਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਲ ਪਲ ਦਾ ਹਾਲ।
Don't trust Donald Trump.
ਜਦੋਂ ਕੱਟਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਦਾ ਜਾਲ। ਕੌਣ ਬਣੇਗਾ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦਾ ਰਾਸ਼ਟਰਪਤੀ?
He's always been a dummy. Everybody knows he's a liar.
ਦੇਖੋ ਪੀਟੀ ਸਮੇਂ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਸ਼ਾਮ 7:30 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਟੀਵੀ ਨਾਰਥ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਤੇ। ਅਮਰੀਕਾ